Robert
true.
Creamer. It was pretty well
There
documented.
have been protests, but look at what President Obama did just last week in welcoming a Trump protest at a Democrats rally. So, you know, Democrats, I think, have done the best they can in what has been a very difficult environment. I was going to go to a different point, a bigger point, which is, you know, at the end of this very divisive, difficult campaign, it is hard to run for office. It's often scary. And people in politicians' families, and Jack knows he was a member of Congress, they put themselves out on the line every day. They go to event after event after event. Secret Service can't always protect you. And I do think that that we ought to just step back as Americans and say, you know what, our democratic process ought to be protecting these kinds of events. We shouldn't have that kind of threat of violence at any event.
You know, there was an article in the New York Times yesterday, and they were talking about young girls and how they were affected by this campaign.
Yeah.
And I was reading, even some of these young girls say, I would never want to run for office.
Right.
Because of what I see. What do you say to those people who you might want to encourage to be part of the process?
Actually, I would take it even to a different. I think on Tuesday, America should be proud of itself. We've had a bruising campaign. We had over 20 candidates, or maybe 25 if you count the minor candidates, run for office. Why? Because in a dynamic country of 320 million people, it's worth fighting for, and it's worth fighting for ideologically. And on the fringe, there are going to be these scuffles, and some of them absolutely get out of hand, and we both parties and all people denounce that. But on the other hand, if you look at the world, how do they settle their civil wars? With guns and violence and assassinations. And I think while we're all beating ourselves up as Americans saying, oh, this is tough, because you know what, there has been name callings and there have been incidents and there have been allegations on all sides, but the reality is that we will come together on Tuesday night, and we will come together January 20th, 2017, when Donald Trump is sworn in.